gobbler's going to get filled out. He's going to need your help to get him out. They're going to put him up on this stump, and the president is going to talk to Phil because only he understands groundhogese. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time to get serious about Groundhog Day. I'd like to introduce his two handlers, John Griffiths and Ben Hughes, the vice president of the Punxsutawney Groundhog Club, Mike Johnston. And it's my honor and privilege to introduce the president of the Punxsutawney Groundhog Club, Mr. William Cooper.
Jeff.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, you are the true believers. To you, the true believers and the uninformed, we welcome you to the 122nd prediction at Gobbler's Knob. Give yourself a round of applause. You represent one of the largest, most enthusiastic midwinter parties in the world. I think it's time to get down to business. What about you?
Sorry about this.
Talking to Phil, more winter, man. We need some snow. 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 More snow, Phil.
You just shivered.
Hear ye, hear ye, hear ye. On Gobbler's Knob on this fabulous Groundhog Day, February 2nd, 2008, Punxsutawney Phil, the seer of seers, prognosticator of all prognosticators, rose to the call of President Bill Cooper and greeted his handlers, Ben Hughes and John Griffiths. After casting a withered eye towards thousands of his faithful followers, Phil consulted with President Cooper and directed him to the appropriate scroll, which proclaims, "As I look around me, a bright sky I see, and a shadow beside me. 6 more weeks of winter it will be."
You cannot blame the messenger. Ladies and gentlemen, be safe, stay warm, and enjoy the next 6 weeks of winter weather.
Good job, Phil. Good job.
Okay, to say today we've made arrangements for Phil to be in the park at 10 o'clock. So any of you that want pictures, want an opportunity to see him up closer, be in the park at 10. For the media, we're going to stay here. We have one engagement set for 7:55, but we will try to accommodate you folks before and after that. So, travel safely, be patient. For those of you, you might find the quickest way off the hill is to walk. They have the path marked. It's about a little over a mile to downtown, all downhill. Very slippery, they tell me. What is it?
I think like who's on the office. It's not hard to get out.
When Chekhov saw the long winter, he saw a winter bleak and dark, bereft of hope. Yet we know that winter is just another step in the cycle of life. But standing here among the people of Punxsutawney and basking in the warmth of their hearths and hearts, I couldn't imagine a better fate than a long and lustrous winter. From Punxsutawney, it's Phil Connors. So long.
standing on the
Okay, we have a little girl that's last. We're looking for Cindy Grice.
sweetheart.
Cindy Grice, if you can come up to Gobbler's Knob, we'll be in the corner over here on the right. Cindy Grice. Also, if you want to stick around, eventually you might be able to get pictures with Phil. Right now we got to go through all the media, so please be patient and we'll eventually organize a little circle to come up. Please don't come up on stage yet.
Strolling down the avenue, and my shadow, not a soul.
our service clubs might well be called the backbone of our town, for it's through them that our business and social activities are welded together. Their noble and unselfish efforts are aimed at making ours a better town in which to live. Through these clubs, many a good deed has been bestowed upon our fellow man. Someone once said, cleanliness is next to godliness.
This opportunity to thank all of you hometown folk for your patronage in the past and to assure you of excellent entertainment for the future.
America's manufacturing is all over the globe these days. But look at Pennsylvania. Lots of the things you see and use every day are still being produced right here. PCN Tours takes you inside Pennsylvania's factories to show you how things are made. Your guide from the company will walk you through the whole process, from raw materials to the finished product. PCN Tours The Iron Shop, tonight at 8.
PA Books takes you on an odyssey through Pennsylvania. The author of 40 Days and 40 Nights, Matthew Chapman, tonight at 9. What do the following people have in common? They're all from Pennsylvania, and they've all been featured on PCN Profiles. The first African American in space, Guy Bluford, tonight at 10.
PA Talk Radio is coming to PCN, Sound and Pictures. A new direction for Sundays at 6 p.m., starting February 10th. On the Issues is coming to PCN, a forum for newsmakers and a new direction for Sundays at 7 p.m., starting February 10th. It's History is coming to PCN. A look at where Pennsylvania has been. A new direction for Sundays at 7:30 p.m., starting February 10th. PCN programs on VHS and DVD are available for purchase online. Go to our website at pcntv.com, click on PCN Store, and browse through hundreds of program titles, tours, books, profiles, Gettysburg Battlefield walks, PIAA championships, and PCN merchandise, all in a safe, secure shopping environment. Visit the PCN Store at pcntv.com today. PCN is looking for interns. If you're a college student interested in television production and politics, PCN has an opportunity for you to work with professionals and get hands-on experience. You would report to PCN studios near Harrisburg and work between 20 and 40 hours a week. In order to qualify, your internship must be part of a college academic program. To find out more about PCN internships, visit our website at pcntv.com. Pennsylvania veterans tell how they saw history as they were making it in World War II, in their own words.
I crawled out the front door, and there besides a tree was one of the guys that were hit. And I crawled over to him and looked at him, and he had $1 million wound. I used to tell it, no matter how bad a guy was hit, I would always say, "Oh man, you're lucky. You got $1 million wound." I says, "You're getting the hell out of this war. I wish I could trade places with you."
World War II, in their own words, $14.99 plus shipping and sales tax. Call 1-866-726-8433 or visit pcntv.com. You're watching PCN. PCN is supported in part by Comcast. PCN, only on cable.
Today, Tonight from the Pavilion on the campus of Villanova University, Pennsylvania Cable Network's Winter Showcase of Basketball continues with the Kobe Bryant Scholastic Play-by-Play Basketball Classic. Today's matchup, the Lower Marion Aces against the Ridley Green Raiders. Hello everyone, my name is Bob McCool. Alongside me, my partner for today's broadcast, Steve Bowen. Another great day of basketball for you here on PCN, and we'll step inside District 1 with two of the top-ranked teams in the state of Pennsylvania in Class Quad A. Lower Marion 18-5 on the season. The Aces are ranked number 7 in the Harrisburg Patriot News Top 10. Their opponent, the Ridley Green Raiders, they are 18-4, and they happen to be ranked number 5 according to the Harrisburg Patriot News. We'll wait and see how this one plays itself out. Steve Bowen, one thing we know when we talk about the Lower Marion Aces, a team that seems to have a run in them every year come the month of February and March, and led by a guy in Greg Robbins. Seems like he's been here forever.
Absolutely. One of the things that's really cool about this game is that every game here has great teams in it. This is a game that really means something. I mean, it really does. It's for the Central League Championship. Lower Marion beat Ridley earlier in the season. They're separated by 1 game, Ridley with a 1-game lead. If Lower Marion wins tonight, they win the championship. But yeah, you mentioned Greg Robbins 2 years ago when they won the state championship, just a precocious freshman, and everyone went, wow, where did he come from? It does seem like he's been here forever. That's what good quality teams keep their programs going on, and that's consistent play for 4 years. This kid's special. He can do everything from his wing position. 6'4", he's a tremendous defender, doesn't get enough credit for that, but he can shoot it. He rebounds very well, great handle. He's one of the top players in the state.
The Ridley Green Raiders, in many people's eyes, might be more known for what they do on the football field, but their basketball program happens to be pretty good too. And there is a key component that kind of combines both of that, and that's Steve Egge.
You got to have a quarterback in both. Steve Egge was the quarterback for the football team that lost in the Eastern Finals, and he's the point guard for this team tonight. He really is the glue for this team, does the little things well, and little things, not just, steals and things like that. He sets the offense. He moves people into position just like a quarterback.
We will wait and see how this one plays out. As Steve said, there's a lot on the line when this one is all said and done, including rankings in the District 1 playoffs, which both of these two teams will certainly be a big part of. It's the Ridley Green Raiders and the Lower Marion Aces when we return with the lineups, the tip-off on the Pennsylvania Cable Network.
The best teams in the state compete for gold in the PIAA Team Wrestling Championships. Watch as the sacrifice, dedication, and determination play out for one team as they are crowned champion. The PIAA Team Wrestling Championships, February 9th on PCN.
Welcome back to the Pavilion on the campus of Villanova University alongside Steve Bowen. My name is Bob McCool. First of 3 games for you here on the Pennsylvania Cable Network. The Lower Marion Aces 18-5 overall in the season. They are 14-3 in Central League competition, taking on their longtime adversaries, the Ridley Green Raiders, 18-4 in the season. They too are 14-3 in Central League competition. As Steve said in our open, this game has a lot on the line. Unlike so many games in these showcase atmospheres, they are non-league games that bring in great teams and great players. This game is indeed a division championship.
Well, for example, when you look at the second game tonight, we've got Chester ranked 6th in the country, depending on who you look at, and probably the top-ranked Quad A team in the state, against a team from the Philadelphia Catholic League, Roman Catholic, that also is pretty darn good. And there's a lot of regional chest bumping there. But this one's kind of neat because it is for the Central League Championship.
There is a third member that has a stake in this, and that is Conestoga High School, who also happens to be 14-3. They have a game later on tonight against Pencrest. So depending upon what Conestoga does, and the winner of this game will in essence be tied for the league championship, and they will share the championship for 2008. But also a lot on the line for these two teams because the seeding for District 1 will come out tomorrow. And obviously that has an impact as to where it is. Obviously the clear consensus is that Chester, as Steve said, the #1 ranked team in the state, will be the #1 seed. Pennsbury certainly will be in there. These two teams certainly feel as if they will be in the top couple. And I guess if you think about it, what you don't want is number 4 seed, because that means you got Chester 1 round earlier than you like.
The other thing about this game that is a little unique for one of these classics is that most of the games involve teams that aren't experienced with each other, have to rely on a game tape here or there, and really don't have a lot of time to set up for their opponent. These two teams know each other very well.
Yeah, there's no worry about scouting in these two games. That these two teams know each other very well. They've been competing against each other since the 1920s. So it's been a long time of hating one another going into today. We mentioned that they played each other a couple of weeks ago. January 8th was the exact date. They played at Ridley High School. Lower Marion won that game 47-44. The guy we alluded to in our pregame, you just saw him introduced, Greg Robbins, led the way with 18 points. Steve Iggy for Ridley had 12, but the guy who had the bulk of their points was 6'6" senior and a real comer in the scheme of things for the Ridley Green Raiders. That's Dan Robbins. He had 20 of Ridley's 44 in that contest.
These are two clubs that are about as evenly matched as you can get. Again, we mentioned a game separates them in the league standings, and they almost look like mirror images of each other.
We'll take a look at the starting 5 for both of these two teams. As you see, the Lower Marion Aces with Carl Johnson, Steve Meehan, and Eric Staler around the outside. Greg Robinson and Kevin Escott inside. For Ridley, Dan Robinson and Steve Iggy inside. Shamar Harris, John McSorley, and Matt Farrell, the guards around the perimeter as we stand for the playing and singing of our national anthem.
Whose broad stripes and the rhinestones will the perilous fight? For the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets echoing the most bursting innings gave proof of light that our flag was still there. Oh, sing those last star-spangled banner yet wave, for the
Lower Marion and Ridley is our matchup. Lower Marion coached by Greg Downer, and the Ridley Green Raiders coached by Keith Heinrichs. Keith Heinrichs in his 8th season, 144-65. Greg Downer now in his 18th season at Lower Marion High School. 18 seasons, 337 wins, and 160 losses.
Be interesting to see some of the matchups. For example, Carl Johnson, who is stellar at guard for Lower Marion. Be interesting to see who matches up on him defensively. Same time, Dan Robinson, the big guy for Ridley. I'm not sure that there's anybody size-wise that matches up with him, but we'll have to wait and see. Stoller, also number 4 for Lower Marion, is a key defender.
Lower Marion, with the exception of Carl Johnson, is all pretty much in terms of size. You can all kind of throw them in one big loop. Johnson at 6'4", but Steve Meehan at 6'3", Harley Williamson at 6'4", Robbins is 6'4", Stoller is also 6'4". As for Ridley, as we mentioned, Dan Robinson goes 6'6", Iggy goes 6'2". Around the perimeter, Shamar Harris, 6'1" senior, 5'11" senior John McSorley, and Matt Farrell, the 6'3" senior. So it's an all-senior lineup for the Ridley Green Raiders. Lower Marion, the home team, with the white uniforms, will win the tap. Carl Johnson looks to penetrate, has his path cut off. He'll kick it outside. That's Robbins with the basketball right now. Lower Marion, a very good outside shooting team. Johnson, a great penetrator. Johnson with the basketball right now, being guarded by Shamar Harris.
And they've got Iggy on Stoller.
Stoller rubs off a screen, runs into Dan Johnson, is looking for somebody to come help him, finds Carl Johnson. And Lower Marion will be a very patient basketball team, as we mentioned. First time around, 47-44 is our final score. They dump it down low, going strong to the hole, can't finish the shot, but will go to the line. For Lower Marion is Kevin Escott.
You mentioned the patience. It was an outstanding job by Steve Meehan from the wing. You'll see the pass in there. And Escott goes strong and will shoot 2.
So the first foul of the basketball game called against the Ridley Green Raiders. Staller to the foul line, misses the first. Excuse me, Kevin Escott at the foul line, misses the first and makes the second. So Lower Marion on the scoreboard first, and the Aces on top 1-0. Ridley gets possession of the basketball for the first time. As McSorley takes it across half court, going to take it all the way home himself. His shot off the mark, no good. And Escott pulls away the rebound for Lower Marion. Carl Johnson, as we said, loves to penetrate, dishes inside, and they kick it outside. Robbins for top of the key, off the front of the rim. Offensive rebound for Escott, and a fresh shot, and a long-range shot, knocking it down is Escott with the three.
Good job of keeping the ball alive on the boards after the first missed shot.
Lower Marion going to fall into a man-to-man defense. Shamar Harris going to dump it, baseline jumper by Johnson up and home. Dan Robinson with a bucket to get Ridley on the scoreboard, makes it 4-2.
And we saw Escott guarding Robinson on the defensive end for the Aces.
Johnson going to dump it down low this time. Low post position for Robbins. Off the mark, no good. Ball is tipped out of bounds. Last touch by Iggy, and it'll stay Lower Marion basketball.
We talked about seeing Greg Robbins as a freshman in 2006 when the Aces won the state championship, shocking the world, as it were. And facially, he looks the same. Physically, he's about 30 pounds heavier. He's really grown into what was a lanky frame back then.
That was a team that featured a couple of big-time players in Ryan Brooks and Garrett Williamson. Garrett Williamson now playing at St. Joe's. Ryan Brooks now playing at Temple. And Greg Robbins, then a freshman, came in and lit it up for Lower Marion. As Carl Johnson takes it inside, gets his first field goal, and it's a 6-2 score in favor of Lower Marion.
Big-time move by Johnson.
Dan Robinson with it on the right wing. It's 6'6". He can stroke it from outside. Now they'll kick it out top the key to McSorley. Swing it outside. Now they'll dump it right back down inside to Robinson. Battle double team. Skip pass, it comes. McSorley takes it in. Now going to wait for help. That's Shamar Harris with the basketball, being guarded by Johnson. Iggy still looking for his first touch on the offensive set. Shamar Harris goes inside, and he'll go to the foul line, shoot two.
The wing entry pass when someone cuts down the lane is very effective at any level of basketball. And especially between these two teams, because we've heard from so many people in the crowd, coaches who are here, about how much of a war this was going to be, how physical it was going to be, and we've seen it on both ends defensively. And if you can just slide off that screen a little bit down the lane, you have a really good chance of getting yourself open.
Shamar Harris goes 1 for 2 at the line, cuts it into a 6-3 deficit now for the Ridley Green Raiders. Robbins again posting up down low. He's going to kick it outside. Now they'll swing it around. Wide open from three-point range is Meehan.
They had Robbins in the high post. He looked to the right side. There was no one there. Meehan on the left wing. It's his second three.
Again, Meehan can stroke it from outside. Staller can stroke it from outside, as can Robbins. As the Green Raiders can't convert, Robbins picks up the loose basketball. Going to go end-to-end. Has a shot blocked. McSorley with a huge defensive play for Ridley.
Wow. Great hustle defensively by both Escott and Meehan to get the ball loose. And then Robbins, I don't think he was expecting this.
John McSorley at 5'11" goes up and gets the block on the 6'4" Greg Robbins. Ball kicked outside. Shamar Harris got his hands on it. Going to stay Aces basketball.
Right now they have Matt Farrell guarding Robbins.
Farrell goes 6'3". As we said, Robbins goes 6'4", goes inside on the lob pass over the top from Eric Staller.
Boy, if you throw it to the outside shoulder and he posts up strong, there's a good chance you're going to get the ball into the post. And very rarely do bad things happen when you get that.
Robbins gets his first field goal. Iggy from three-point range, back iron. And Carl Johnson and the Lower Marion Ace is going to push it up ahead. Crossover dribble gets Johnson with the left-handed shot off the mark. And Dan Robinson hustles back and gets the rebound. Lamar Harris looking to go inside, nothing there. They swing it outside. Iggy, foul line, kicks it outside. Harris for three. Good. 4 points for Shamar Harris.
Took advantage of some really good ball movement. Lower Marion had switched defenses that time down the floor, running a 2-3 zone, but didn't have it quite set up the way they wanted to, and Ridley took advantage.
3:20 now remaining first period of play. Lower Marion with the basketball and an 11-6 lead. Meehan 3 for 3 again, top of the key this time, but off the mark, and a reach-in foul going to be called on Lower Marion on Kevin Escott.
Kind of gone according to Hoyle so far in that Ridley wants to be strong on the defensive glass and patient offensively. Lower Marion wants to just get into your jockstrap and your sneakers defensively and push it as much as they can, and that's what we've seen so far.
Substitution in the game. Our first substitute is 6'4" senior Andrew King into the game for Lower Marion. We have yet to see Harley Williamson, the younger brother of Garrett Williamson, 6'4" junior right now on the bench for Lower Marion. Great feed inside, up with a pump fake, and missing the shot, however, is Matt Farrell, and a blown opportunity that time for the Raiders. Johnson looks to rub off a screen. Ridley, a very good man-to-man defensive team. Robbins free for three. Good.
That was kind of simple, and I think that's why Keith Heinrichs is calling the timeout. They just moved it around the perimeter, 2 or 3 passes. Robbins got it on the right wing, took 2 dribbles down to the side, and there you see just rising up with no one near him.
5 points now for Greg Robbins. The lead is 8 for the Aces at 14-6, forcing the timeout called by Ridley.
The other games this evening following this will have just plans to be a dandy. Roman Catholic from the Philadelphia Catholic League against Chester. And then the nightcap will be, again from the PCL, Newman Goretti against Gonzaga College Prep from Washington, D.C. By some accounts, the 11th ranked team in the country.
Some of the top ranked teams in the country. Chester ranked 6th in a couple of polls. Gonzaga ranked in those polls as well. And Roman Catholic Chester, certainly across the state of Pennsylvania, you can't get 2 bigger names than those 2 programs. That'll be our matchup to follow. Lower Marion and Ridley. Ridley with the basketball right now and a 14-6 deficit. Iggy gonna pull it out, rubs off a screen, takes it right down the middle and puts up the shot off the mark, and here comes Robbins. Kick outside, Johnson steps along the baseline, gets his own rebound, goes right back up with it, and can't finish, and a foul gonna be called on a reach-in, I believe, on Johnson.
Actually, well, we'll see. It might be on Long. Nope.
It is Carl Johnson who picks up the foul, and that is his second. So concern for Lower Marion as their 6-foot senior point guard, averaging 16 points per game, picks up his second personal with 1:50 left to go, first period of play.
The Aces wanted to push, but they really didn't have good spacing on that break that time.
Dan Robinson with the basketball, averages 22 points per game for Ridley. Gonna put up the 3 off the front iron straw. And nearly taken away on the outlet pass. Robbins on the floor to save it for Lower Marion.
Wow, some heady play all around. Kids keeping their eyes open and their heads up. You gotta like that.
So Carl Johnson now playing with those 2 personal fouls. We'll see if that takes away any of his aggressiveness. As we said from the outset, he is a guy that loves to drive to the basket hard. And now it looks like Greg Downer going to play a little 4 quarters. Spread the floor for the final, what appears to be the final minute and change of the first period of play, but it's taken away. McSorley with a defensive play. Bounce pass up ahead to Iggy to the hole for 2.
Outstanding pass and a better catch that time. Good defense keyed the whole thing.
14-8 now is our score as Iggy gets his first points, and credit McSorley with a defensive play and the pretty bounce pass up ahead. 45 seconds now remaining in the first quarter. Johnson again, they go to the lob pass inside to Robbins. Robbins with the turnaround jumper, can't find the bottom. And a great hustle play by King, gets his own rebound, goes back up and can't finish. Andrew King with a couple of offensive rebounds. Here comes the lob the other way. This time it's Robinson ahead of the pack.
Great vision that time by Steve Iggy because Robinson didn't break as quickly as maybe you would have liked to. He held up just a count.
So
big guy ran the floor and got open.
So the big guys for Ridley run the floor the last 2 times down. Last time it was Iggy, this time it's Robinson. Johnson along the baseline, now he's going to kick it outside. King strong to the hole and up this time for 2.
A real nice athletic move that time by Andrew King.
And that bucket by Lower Marion will end a run for the Ridley Green Raiders. At the end of 1/4 play here at the Pavilion on the campus of Villanova University, our score, Lower Marion 16, Ridley 10. We'll come back with more after this on the Pennsylvania Cable Network.
It's like there's a wall between us. I mean, he doesn't even recognize me anymore. There's no communication. I know he's there. Hello? It's so frustrating.
Sounds like you've got a networking problem. Let's get to work.
Computer Patrol is on duty for any problem. Count on our on-site support to put you in control.
Patrice! Jim! He's back!
Computer Patrol from Pentella Data. Our geeks are smarter than their geeks.
Back at the Pavilion on the campus of Villanova University, Lower Marion and Ridley. First of 3 games for you here on the Pennsylvania Cable Network. Alongside Steve Bowen, my name is Bob McCool. As Lower Marion got out to the strong start, Ridley with a late first quarter push to get this back to a 6-point difference.
If you're Greg Downer, the one thing that is a downer, no pun intended, is the fact that you have Carl Johnson with 2 fouls. If you're Keith Heinrichs, you've played well, I think, defensively, and offensively, things just haven't been as smooth as he expects, I think. And a lot of that has to do with the Lower Marion defense switching up between man and zone. Back in man now.
Lower Marion 3 for 5 in that first period from 3-point range. Certainly a big part of their 6-point cushion right now. McSorley, who came up with a couple of big defensive plays for Ridley, gives it out to Iggy. Now gives it back to McSorley. Skip pass to John Trussati into the game for Ridley at the stoppage of play. Trussati, a 5'10 senior, wears number 1 in the green. McSorley with a pass inside of Trussati for 2.
Great look that time by John McSorley. But that play doesn't happen if Trussati doesn't make the strong baseline cut.
McSorley with no points, but a couple of great steals and a couple of great assists. And this time it's Trussati who comes up with a steal for Ridley. McSorley quickly pushes it up the floor. Robinson looks to go inside. This time it's 6-6. He's going to go to the foul line. As Harley Williamson also into the game for Lower Marion to start the second quarter play. Going to pick up a foul.
You know, if it weren't for the name, I wouldn't know that he was Garrett Williamson's little brother. They looked almost identical.
Yes, they do, don't they?
Boy, strong move that time by Robinson.
As Robinson will go to the foul line. Robinson showing a little bit of his game, trying to shoot it from outside, but he can take it inside as well at 6'6", but misses the first of 2 foul shots. Second one is good. Robinson now with 5 points. And the lead is 3 points. 16-13, Lower Marion on top. As the Aces will come in with another substitution. 5'10 senior Ben Lucas will check into the game for the Aces. Stoller will take it across half court for Lower Marion. As Johnson's out with those 2 personal fouls. They bump it down low to Robinson. And Robinson, an offensive foul going to be called as Iggy takes the charge.
Good entry pass that time as Robbins got it on the low right block, as we see here. And there was contact there, and if you got the smaller guy getting hit by the bigger guy, 9 times out of 10, they're going to call that foul. And now the Ace is back in his zone. Looks like it's maybe a little bit of matchups from 3-2.
Ridley patiently trying to size it up as they get it to Trussati. Robbins in his face doesn't like that matchup. Jamar Harris thought about the 3. Jamar Harris this time does like the idea of the 3, but he can't come down with it. And Robbins comes down with a rebound. Meehan looks to go baseline, has an opening and scores. Steve Meehan with his second field goal.
Great drive, made the decision right away. Looked at the defense, little jab step, and then drove hard to the hole.
6:20 remaining first half of play. Lower Marion 18, Ridley 13. Meehan now with 5 points. Iggy with the basketball, gives it up left side to McSorley. Great pass inside this time to Harris, but Robbins closes the door. And now a whistle and a foul going to be called against Lower Marion. That's going to be their 16th foul already.
It was a good call, but it was a late call, and those are the types of things that tend to frustrate players as the game goes along.
It'll be a foul on Harley Williamson. That's his second. So he checks into the game to start the second period. And 55 seconds later, he's got 2 fouls. They'll send Shamar Harris to the foul line to shoot 2. Harris now 2 for 3 at the stripe. Make it 3 for 4. 6 points now for Shamar Harris. He averages 10. And it's 18-15. Lower Marion on top. 6 minutes remaining first half of play. Eric Stoller taking over point guard responsibilities without Johnson out there. Williamson stand on the floor with the 2 personals. They rub off a screen for Robbins, and Robbins immediately is triple teamed. Somehow or another holds on to the basketball. He's swinging around. Williamson thought about the 3. Now he's going to take it inside, and he's going to pick up his 3rd personal.
Wow. Got to give Steve Iggy credit on that for stepping in, but I think that the operative words there were stepping in. It looked like, we'll see on the replay here. Well, he had pretty good position, but that's one of those. I mean, there's a reason they call that the toughest call in basketball to make. And that's Iggy's 2nd drawing of a charge, if you will. And he picks up 1 on Robbins. Now he picks up the 3rd on Harley Williamson, who will come out. Andrew King back in. So far, Lower Marion with that turnover on the offensive foul. Their 4th. Brindley has not given up the basketball as of yet. They have possession of it right now, looking for an opportunity to tie it up. They trail by 3. Iggy steps between a double team, going to take it inside for 2. They've done a nice job adjusting to that zone defense, and they've done it with the ball on the floor as opposed to just throwing it around the perimeter. Johnson checks back in, as we said, playing with 2 personal fouls. Now they're going to go to the lob inside again to Robbins, poked away from McSorley, back to Johnson. Robbins is going to this time go off the glass for 2 more. 7 for round. That's an outstanding decision by Carl Johnson. He could have taken the shot and it would have been difficult. He had the bigger, stronger guy against someone much smaller, about 4 feet closer to the basket. We turn inside of 5 minutes now, first half of play. Ridley back to within a point right now. Excuse me, it's 20-17, Lower Marion on top. Iggy trying to get it to a 1 point with an elbow foul line shot, no good. Robinson going to get called, I believe, on the foul, battling for the offensive rebound. Yeah, the call should be, you're too big. You're not allowed to just bump people out of the way, because that's all he did. There was great rebounding position that time by Lucas. His first personal, team foul number 2 against Ridley. Lower Marion already with 7 team fouls. Stoller gives it back out top to Johnson. Now they'll swing it over right side. It comes to Ben Lucas. To back to Johnson. Looking to dump it down low, but they're right now really fronting Greg Robbins. So Johnson's going to pull up for the jumper and comes up well short of everything. Johnson thought it was blocked, and now the officials are going to concur and say it will stay Lower Marion basketball. Yeah, that's a nice job by the officials. The guy on the baseline where it went out of bounds didn't see it blocked. Everybody else did. Rick Taylor, Andy France, and Harry Edwards are our officials for this basketball game. We step inside District 1 for you tonight here on the Pennsylvania Cable Network. Lower Marion 18-5, Ridley 18-4. 2 of the top-ranked teams in the state of Pennsylvania in Class Quad A. Andrew King with the basketball, gives it back out top, and Lower Marion will be extremely patient with the basketball. In some early foul trouble, is sitting on a 3-point lead. Well, I think part of the reason to bring it out here is just to survey the floor and get their wits about them, because for the last 30 seconds, they've been running a Chinese fire drill type of offense. They've got some very smart, very heady, very experienced basketball players out there, especially the guy with the basketball. Robin's just going to sit there and dribble it. Steve Iggy's just going to sit there and stare at it. And the crowd responds in kind. There are lots of ways to skin a cat, and Greg Downer certainly knows just about every one of them. We saw a little bit of this in 06 against Shenley. PIAA champions in 1996 with a guy who this tournament is named after, Kobe Bryant, was at the helm. Greg Downer came back 10 years later with a team that shocked the world against Shenley. And Shenley, of course, came back last year to win the state championship, but Greg Downer's team lost it in 2005 against Chester, came back to next year a little bit more experienced, and won it with the state championship, the 6th state championship in Lower Marion High School history. Ridley picking up another foul. It's just the 3rd team foul now on the Green Raiders. Again, here they come inside with a post down low to Robbins, who can't hold on. Yeah, that again was a great job posting up by Robbins. A nice look by Stoller just a little bit too far. When you can throw it to that far shoulder and he's got the other guy locked on his hip, again, good things are going to happen for you if you complete the pass.
Portion of this game is being brought to you in part by the award-winning sports broadcasting camps. To learn more, call 215-732-2044. You're watching high school basketball on the Pennsylvania Cable Network. And we wish you a happy Groundhog's Day for all of you who got up early this morning and watched the proceedings in Punxsutawney here on the Pennsylvania Cable Network. You should probably know by now that there is 6 more weeks of basketball coming your way here on the Pennsylvania Cable Network, or at least in 6 weeks we'll be back at Hershey Park. We'll be back at the Bryce Jordan Center in Penn State.
Yeah, you mentioned the last 3 times that Lower Merion's been in a state championship game. There's a distinct eerie flair to those visits. Kobe Bryant's team beat Cathedral Prep in just a chess match. And then when Lower Merion advanced as the Western finalists, they beat Cathedral Prep in the Western semis. And then the year that they won the state championship, they also beat Cathedral Prep along the way.
Shamar Harris with the tip in of the missed shot by McSorley, and Carl Johnson comes right back down and shoots right over the head of Shamar Harris. Back to a 3-point game in favor of the Aces. 22-19 is our score. Jasadi with the basketball left side, looking to go down low to Dan Robinson, but the path is cut off. That's Iggy with the basketball. Inside of 2 minutes now remaining first half of play. Iggy gonna put up the 3, good.
Both of these teams play so well off of screens. We saw it that time. Iggy with just a little slide off a screen, gets himself open. The quick pass.
A game that Lower Merion led by as many as 8 points in this first quarter. Ridley has it tied up for the first time. The Aces trying to change that, and they do with the good heads-up play and the pass down low from Robbins to Johnson for 2.
Good hands by Robbins to corral the loose ball, and then great eyesight, great vision to see Johnson underneath.
6 points now for Johnson, and Iggy got the hot hand going right now. 9 points now for Steve Iggy. He averages 16, and we're back to even at 24. Carl Johnson with the basketball again, looks to penetrate, up with a scoop shot, and again finds the bottom.
We saw him in the first half of the first quarter try and get inside and almost kind of bull his way inside. He's so much better in space, as we've seen 2 of the last 3 times down the floor.
Carl Johnson now with 6 points in this quarter. All the last 6 points scored by Lower Merion. Robbins with the block off the glass.
Kevin Heinrich wants a goaltend. I concur.
Carl Johnson, bump foul going to be called. That was a crucial play. Johnson, as we said, playing with 2, but they'll call Shamar Harris instead on the foul. Number 1 on Harris, number 4 on the Green Raiders.
King gave him some nice minutes. Escott back in along with 22, Oliver Cohen.
Cohen just a sophomore. Escott, as we said, got the start today, a senior. Escott getting the start in replacement of Harley Williamson for Lower Merion. 26-24 Aces on top with now inside of 15 seconds remaining first half. Lower Merion going to work for one last shot as Escott takes it to the hole but can't finish. And back comes Ridley with a chance to tie it or take the lead at halftime. Eggy going to pull up the fadeaway jumper, hits nothing but the side of the glass. And that will do it for the first half of play. A hard-fought basketball game as we promised you it would be. And we are at halftime at the break. The score, Lower Merion 26, Ridley 24 on the Winter Showcase of high school basketball here on the Pennsylvania Cable Network when we return at halftime.
The best teams in the state compete for gold in the PIAA Team Wrestling Championships. Watch as the sacrifice, dedication, and determination play out for one team as they are crowned champion. The PIAA Team Wrestling Championships, February 9th on PCN.
At this time of year, you have to put some more thought into getting around safely in your car. And if you're traveling around Pennsylvania, you need more than a local forecast to help you make plans. That's where Weather World comes in. The team at Weather World brings their years of experience together to tell you about weather conditions all over the state every weekday. Weather World, weekdays at 5:45 p.m. on PCN, only on cable.
How are your tax dollars being spent? Governor Ed Rendell will answer that question when he presents his annual spending plan for Pennsylvania to the state legislature. PCN's preview of the budget with analysts and reporters will be followed by the governor's speech. Then, live reaction from lawmakers and your phone calls. The governor's budget proposal, Tuesday morning starting at 10:30 here on PCN. Governor Ed Rendell will appear on PCN's call-in program on the day he announces his spending plan for Pennsylvania. The state's chief executive will answer your questions Tuesday live at 7 p.m. PCN tours can be watched at your desk or on the go too. Just visit PCNTV.com. Click on PCN Online and watch tours at the usual times during the week. Or click on Podcasts and download a tour and watch it anytime you want on your computer or your video iPod. Get PCN tours the way you want them, on cable, online, or on your iPod. The laws that affect you the most are made in your own backyard. Harrisburg lawmakers have public hearings to help figure out what a bill should include. That's part of our democratic process. With PCN and a telephone, you participate in our democracy. When you ask questions on PCN's call-in program, you have the ear of the people who make decisions that affect your life. PCN's call-in program every week, Monday through Thursday, live at 7 p.m. on PCN, only on cable. PCN's daily program schedule can be delivered to you by email. For this free service, send your email address to pcntv@pcntv.com.
From the pavilion on the campus of Villanova University, we are at halftime. Lower Marion 26, Ridley 24 is our score at the break. As we promised you, this is the first of 3 games for you here on the Pennsylvania Cable Network. And I am joined at halftime by the guy who has put this tournament together, the Kobe Bryant Scholastic Play-by-Play Classic, Jeremy Treatment. And Jeremy, this is one of 3 for us. It's one of 7 for you. This is a long afternoon for you.
Yeah, it's a little exhausting, but it's a lot of fun. It's great to see people smiling, watching good high school basketball, one of our events. So it makes us feel good as long as everybody's having a good time. And I believe we're seeing some great basketball today. That's what it's all about.
And we talked about this a little bit in the first half. This is a little bit unusual in the sense that this is a league game. It's not usually what you have in these showcase type of games, but to Lower Marion's credit, they've essentially gave up a home game to play in this Classic today.
Well, they really did. Greg Dowder and I are very close friends, but that doesn't actually have any factor into it. We wanted to have Lower Marion in the event. February 2nd was the day of the event. They were mandated to keep their league game. It turned out to be Ridley, so I suggested why not just play the Ridley game here. And everybody thought about it, said that would be great, a great opportunity for the kids. And I think it helps Lower Marion at Ridley because down the road you could be playing here in the playoffs.
Absolutely. This is a spot. The District 1 championship will be played in this arena. So certainly both teams wouldn't mind getting an opportunity to get a little bit of a taste of the floor before it goes. But as you mentioned, Greg Downer, I know he's been a part of your tournaments before. This is a guy who is one of the, I mean, he doesn't look it, but he's been at Lower Marion for 18 years. He's been around for a long time, and for my money, he's one of the best X's and O's guys in the state of Pennsylvania.
Yeah, he really is. I had the pleasure of being on the staff in 95-96, Kobe's senior year, and I learned everything about basketball from him. I've been coaching youth basketball for the last 11, 12 years, and I use a lot of the help defense principles I learned by being on the bench. So I've been in the media, I've been promoting, but I've also got a little coaching experience and learning under one of the best. And it was very nice of Lower Marion to give up the home game, be part of the event.
Now you do this, I mean, obviously you do this in the Philadelphia base, which is kind of your backyard, but this isn't the only place you do this at.
No, it's not. We've had 2 events in Ohio this year. The best teams in Cincinnati played in a Cincinnati showcase. Ohio State's probably my favorite place. We've done it 6 years. We started with the LeBron James, and that kind of opened paths for us in Ohio. And we've been in Ohio State ever since. We consult with one in North Carolina that we originally started, and we got a New Jersey one that's coming up February 16th. This year we have the pleasure of doing one in Connecticut, February 9th, next week, the University of Hartford, Lady Deladon Ursuline Academy are going to play a local Connecticut team. That should be a lot of fun.
I mean, I know it's a lot of fun and you like to put basketball games on, but let's be honest with you, part of it is it's got to be a nervous night for you the night before, wondering what your crowds are going to be. From what we've seen so far, the crowds have been pretty good today.
The crowd was pretty nice today so far. Yeah, it's nerve-wracking, not just because of the crowd, it's just everything. Just making sure every little detail is followed. It takes a year to get these events going. It's a lot of hard work.
It certainly should be a great event over the course of the day. We hope for a great day of basketball here on the Pennsylvania Cable Network. We're going to take a break. We'll come back with the start of the second half. Thanks for Jeremy Treatment for stopping by here at the break. 26-24 is our score when we return to start period number 3.
PA Talk Radio is coming to PCN, Sound and Pictures. A new direction for Sundays at 6 p.m., starting February 10th. On the Issues is coming to PCN, a forum for newsmakers and a new direction for Sundays at 7 p.m., starting February 10th. It's History is coming to PCN, a look at where Pennsylvania has been. A new direction for Sundays at 7:30 p.m., starting February 10th. America's manufacturing is all over the globe these days. But look at Pennsylvania. Lots of the things you see and use every day are still being produced right here. PCN Tours takes you inside Pennsylvania's factories to show you how things are made. Your guide from the company will walk you through the whole process, from raw materials to the finished product. PCN Tours, Sundays at 8 p.m. on PCN, only on cable.
PA Books takes you on an odyssey through Pennsylvania. PA Books, Sundays at 9 on PCN, only on cable. What do the following people have in common? They're all from Pennsylvania, and they've all been featured on PCN Profiles. PCN Profiles, Sundays at 10 p.m. on PCN, only on cable.
PCN programs on VHS and DVD are available for purchase online. Go to our website at PCNTV.com, click on PCN Store, and browse through hundreds of program titles, tours, books, profiles, Gettysburg Battlefield Walks, PIAA Championships, and PCN merchandise, all in a safe, secure shopping environment. Visit the PCN Store at PCNTV.com today. You never know who's listening when you call PCN's call-in program.
I heard the caller from East Stroudsburg, and I wanted to correct him, or actually, I think I'm going to make him happy.
Your call reaches out beyond the boundaries of our studio. Sometimes it goes right to the ear of Pennsylvania's chief executive. A meeting place for the people and state policymakers. PCN's call-in program, Mondays through Thursdays, live at 7 p.m.
Set to the start of the second half. Steve Iggy with the hot hand for the Ridley Raiders in quarter number 2. Scored 7 of his 9 points in that quarter as Ridley came from what was at one point an 8-point difference to get it to a 2-point score at halftime. There you get a good look at Steve Iggy. Talking with Greg Downer, the head coach for Laura Marion before the basketball game. He considers him to be one of the top 5 athletes in the state of Pennsylvania. As Steve said in our pregame show, he is and was the quarterback on the football team for a very good Ridley team and one of the best players on the basketball team, averaging 16 points a game. He's got 9 at the break. Alongside Steve Bowen, my name is Bob McCool. Lower Marion with the basketball to start the second half. Harley Williamson will get a start here in the second half for Lower Marion, but it's Robbins doing his work down low. Gets away from Robinson, but can't finish inside. Robinson tips it out, and Shamar Harris and Ridley have the basketball for their first trip. Iggy taking matters into his own hand, misses. Robinson with an offensive putback for 2.
Greg Downer's going to earn his money here in this second half as he's got a little bit of foul problems. Johnson with 2, Williamson with 3. And while they have a deep bench, I'm not sure that he's going to go too deep in a game of this magnitude.
Williamson with the basketball. Played very short minutes in that second quarter before he picked up all 3 of those fouls. Steve Meehan with the basketball. He had an early 3 for Lower Merion, helping them to get to that early lead. Lower Merion 18-5, Ridley 18-4, but more importantly, they're both 14-3 in atop the Central League standings as Johnson has a shot partially blocked and controlled by Ridley. Up ahead it comes to Iggy for 2.
Great job that time by Shamar Harris on the block. And then Ridley running the floor very well, and there's Iggy.
First lead of the basketball game for the Ridley Raiders with Iggy's 11th point puts Ridley on top 28-26. Robbins going to change that in a hurry as he banks one home.
I'm not sure why they don't do that all the time. Again, he's being guarded by Farrell.
McSorley for 3 off the rim, no good. And Robbins has himself another rebound.
Yeah, when Robbins posts up, there's not a whole bunch that Farrell can do.
Robbins again plants himself right back down there in the low blocks. Now he's going to come up and set a screen. Stoller, however, kicks it the other way.
Now they have Iggy on Robbins.
Great matchup with terrific athletes. Robbins is a great soccer player for Lower Merion as well. Part of a team that won the district championship. Robbins this time going to hit from 3.
Sets a screen and then rolls out to the top. You know, this is the way basketball is designed to be played. This is also why Greg Downers led 3 teams to the state championship game.
Robbins tries to draw the offensive foul the other way, but instead Robinson ends up with an easy one to make it a 31-30 basketball game. Lower Merion still on top. 5 minutes now remaining, third quarter of play. This one, without a doubt, will go down to the wire. Again, these 2 teams met January the 8th with Lower Merion winning 47-44 on Ridley's home floor. Stoller going to take it inside as a shot blocked, but he's fouled.
I think Eric Stoller might be a key in this second half for the Aces because he's been relatively ineffective on the offensive end. He's played pretty good defensively, as we've come to expect. But if he gets more involved in the offense, they're going to be able to do some more things. They're going to be able to spread the floor a little bit more. Their spacing will be better. They can get Robbins and Jackson and Johnson in space.
Stoller gets his first point of the basketball game, his first trip to the foul line. Makes the first. Trissati back into the game for Ridley.
Boy, what a spark he gave to Ridley in the second quarter when he came in.
Van Robinson picked up the foul for the Raiders. That was his second as Stoller goes just 1 for 2 to make it a 2-point difference. Harris for the lead off the front of the rim. Feed inside. Johnson tried to go back, looking for somebody to go back door. Nobody home, and the Aces turn it over for the 6th time in a basketball game. Boy, it's now Lower Merion extending the defense a little bit. Great catch by McSorley, spins away from defense, feeds it inside to Shamar Harris. Pump fake will set it to the line. He finishes for the 2 and will go to the line to try to make it 3.
Good shot, fellas. Good time.
You see it here. Great pass by Trissati. And then Harris. Strong to the hoop. Misses the free throw.
Harris with 10 points. We're tied again at 32-32. Our 5th tie of the basketball game. Robbins goes baseline and a kick out. Meehan for 3.
Boy, when he sets his feet, he's one of the better shooters that I've seen in a while.
Second 3 for Meehan this afternoon. He's got 8. Robinson with a good feed inside, but Trissati thought better of putting up the shot. Now going to kick it outside. They'll swing it around. Now Robinson has an elbow at the foul line. They swing it back the other way to Iggy. McSorley going to put up the 3 and drains it.
Coach Heinrichs calls a timeout.
John McSorley doing a little bit of everything, filling up the stat sheet for Ridley in this basketball game. That's his first bucket. And it's a timeout called by Ridley. There's Fran Dunphy, the head coach of the Temple Owls, in the house. Fran Dunphy, one of a couple of people hoping to get Greg Robbins in another year or so. As I said, he's got Ryan Brooks, who was a big part of Lower Marion's team a couple of years ago. And he's hoping that he can get Greg Robbins to come his way as well.
Never know how much that really helps, but you know it doesn't hurt when there's someone from the kids' high school who's already in your program.
35-35 is our score after the three-point shot by John McSorley ties our basketball game up for the sixth time. 3:30 remaining third period of play. Backdoor cut and a good feed to Johnson to Kevin Escott for the field goal.
Outstanding ball movement that time and a great look by Carl Johnson.
Started from Staler and it went to Johnson and it finished in the hands of Escott as Robinson goes inside but can't finish. Back the other way comes Johnson. This time Johnson going to take it himself and lays it home.
Both teams have been getting the ball into really good spots on the floor. Lower Marion through dribble penetration, and Ridley just threw great entry passes to the low post.
Iggy sees his team fall into a four-point hole, trying to make something happen, and that's the first turnover for Ridley. That in and of itself is pretty impressive with 2:50 left to go, third quarter of play.
You betcha.
Right now, the Raiders find themselves in now a four-point hole. Again, the largest lead in this basketball game for Lower Marion was 8. Early moments of the first quarter. Aces jumped out to an 11-3 lead. They dump it inside to Stoller for 2 more.
That was a great catch that time by Stoller. It was an okay pass, but Stoller did an outstanding job of catching it, settling, and then going up for the hoop.
6-point run for the Aces. 3 now for Stoller. Robinson fakes the 3, takes it inside. Good use of the long arms. Gets his own rebound, but has a shot blocked by Robbins. Jamar Harris going to take it right at Robbins for 2.
And I think everybody in the building wonders why there was nothing called there. I guess it's no blood, no foul.
And that will end that 6-point run and a tough bucket for Jamar Harris. 12 points now for Harris. Robbins going to go to the foul line as Iggy picks up the foul.
See Iggy just kind of holding his hands out saying what? And I don't blame him based on what happened on the other end.
Iggy's second personal foul. Here's a good look at Greg Downer, the head coach for Lower Marion. Robbins is top player, just a junior is Greg Robbins, 17 points a game, steps to the foul line, gets his 13th point, looking to make it 14. First trip to the line tonight for Greg Robbins. Second one off the mark, it's tipped up and Robinson for Ridley almost knocked it in. 42-37 is our score. Lower Marion on top. Iggy, dish outside, Trusati. Skip pass out front, it comes to McSorley. Robinson for 3, good.
Again, set the screen and roll outside to the high post. That's kind of new age offense, but it works very well when you have the big guy that can stroke it.
Dan Robinson had 20 in the first meeting between these two teams. That three-pointer gives him 14. Also cuts it back to a 2-point difference on the scoreboard in favor of Lower Marion. The Aces with the basketball. Skip pass to Meehan. Meehan trying to go left baseline. Bounces across the lane. A great move by Robbins to get the bucket.
When you have a 6'4" kid that probably is going to be a 2 and maybe even a 1 in college, although probably a 2. And he has the ability to post hard like Robbins does. Good things happen, but nice job by Shamar Moore on the other end.
Shamar Harris with the bucket. Again, it's McSorley with the feed, and Harris at 6'1" with a great pump fake to get everybody out of his way. And now with inside of a minute remaining in the third period of play. Again, Lower Marion with that four corners look. Sitting on a 2-point lead right now is Lower Marion. As we said, the first game of this between these two teams was a 47-44 final score. Obviously, the pace on offense is a little bit better here in round number 2. Meehan pulled up for 2 off the front of the rim, and Iggy gets bumped on the foul as Kevin Escott is going to pick up his 3rd.
Different coaches have different styles of how to take some air out of the ball. A lot of them will do what we've seen Lower Marion do, and that's just set up on the outside and really not go below that 3-point line. Some will actually like to move it down into the corners and beg the defense to double team, and you can get a quick skip pass over the defense.
Game clock now down to 10, inside of 10 seconds. Shamar Harris directing traffic, gets Robinson out to set up a screen for him and drains it.
Oh. Wow.
Ties the basketball game back up for the 7th time this afternoon. We are sitting in a tie at the end of 3 quarters of play here at the Pavilion at the campus of Villanova University here on the Pennsylvania Cable Network. Our score, Lower Merion 44, Ridley 44. Don't go away. We'll have the final 8 minutes right after this. You're watching high school basketball on Pennsylvania's Championship Network, PCN.
The best teams in the state compete for gold in the PIAA Team Wrestling Championships. Watch as the sacrifice, dedication, and determination play out for one team as they are crowned champion. The PIAA Team Wrestling Championships, February 9th on PCN.
44 is our score. Greg Robbins and the Lower Merion Aces stroking it from outside. Ridley, on the other hand, working inside to get their points predominantly. And through 3 quarters of play, we are even at 44 apiece. Greg Robbins right now game-high scorer for Lower Merion with 15 points.
It's the first time I've had a chance to see Ridley, and I'm impressed with a lot of things by them, not the least of which their ability to rub off of screens. They're a great screening ball club.
Hey, Steve Bowen, my name is Bob McCool. Iggy going to put up the 3 off the back iron, no good. And Robbins has himself another rebound as we begin this 4th period of play. Winner's Showcase of Basketball here on the Pennsylvania Cable Network. Again, in case you're just joining us, the first of 3 for you. So I hope you'll sit back and enjoy a night of basketball here on the eve of some football game apparently being played this weekend. And a foul this time. There's going to be an illegal screen set on Kevin Escott. That's going to be his 4th. So Lower Merion will give it up for the 7th time. And Escott will come out. Harley Williamson back in there for Lower Merion. He picked up 3 fouls in the first half for the Aces. Has not yet scored a point. As Trissati gets it to Robinson. Right back it comes to Trissati along with Shamar Harris, John McSorley, and Steve Iggy, the 5 out there on the floor for Keith Heinrichs for Ridley. Trying to rub off a screen is Iggy. Instead, they'll go inside to Robbins, who just bulls his way for 2 more. 16 now for Dan Robinson.
If you get a true post player and get him the ball that deep, it better be awfully good defense. And that time it was just good defense.
Ridley back up on top. 6-point run now for Ridley. Counter the 6-point run that Lower Merion had late in the 3rd quarter of play. Robinson with 16, Shamar Harris with 16 for Ridley. Steve Iggy with 11. Robbins going to go back to the foul line, but it's going to be for a 3-point play.
Wow. When he was a freshman, he probably wouldn't have been able to make that shot. The extra weight, the extra strength that he's gained allowed him to push that one up in spite of the contact. That was just an outstanding play.
He is a special player, very, very smart player is Greg Robbins. And he picks up the 3rd foul on Iggy, and he makes it a 3-point play as well. 18 points now for Greg Robbins. And Lower Merion back on top by 1 at 47-46. Iggy trying to rub off a screen. Johnson fighting his way through it. A man-to-man defense for Lower Merion. Shamar Harris been big this afternoon for the Raiders. Has the basketball, as has Dan Robinson. Trissati free for 3. Robbins tips it. Johnson controls it. Johnson on a 3-on-2 break, kicks it outside. Bad pass, but Meehan has to corral it. Skip it around. Williamson for 3. Well short, and back comes Ridley. Great feed up ahead. Iggy, Shamar Harris with the catch, but he couldn't finish.
It's too bad that he couldn't finish because that was a great lead pass by Iggy. Of course, you'd expect that. He's a quarterback.
Not anything different than what he did in the fall for Ridley. Led them to the East Final before they fell to Parkland, who ultimately fell in the Quad A State Championship, the Pittsburgh Central Catholic, a game you saw certainly here on the Pennsylvania Cable Network. Robbins for three off the rim, no good. And Robinson has himself a rebound for Ridley. 47-46 as both teams suddenly grow cold. Iggy going to take it inside, this time off the glass for two more.
Outstanding play by Steve Iggy. He went rolling around the screen and just kept rolling down the lane. Didn't get much behind him.
Foul going to be called on Ridley as Robinson gets pushed for bumping Greg Robbins.
If you wonder why there are 3 referees in a game anymore, that time the play took place down on the baseline, and the baseline official really couldn't see what happened. But the official out on the left wing had a perfect view of it. Iggy pulled Robbins by the shoulder.
Matt Farrell will check back into the basketball game for Ridley. John Trussati comes out. Keith Heinrichs basically using a 6-man rotation of bodies today as Johnson will go to the foul line one more time.
Boy, how good have Johnson, Harris, and Iggy been driving to the hoop this evening?
He picks up foul number 4 on Harley Williamson. Or excuse me, foul is on Shamar Harris. That's his second personal foul. Harley Williamson committed a foul on Carl Johnson. We might have a problem. Teammates. Johnson, who steps to the line, misses the front. Johnson with double figures today, averages 16 points per game. He's at 10 right now. There's a good look at Keith Heinrichs, 8th-year head coach for Ridley. Johnson this time goes 1 for 2 at the foul line. Ties our game back up one more time at 48 apiece.
If you get to an event like this, because this started at 10 o'clock this morning, and if you get here early enough, you get to talk to a lot of different people. And the folks that I talked to that know these two teams, didn't make any difference who they were rooting for. Everyone said the following things, and this is almost verbatim. It's going to be a war, and you won't see a lead bigger than 7 points. They were 1 for 2, but just by a tish, because there were a couple of 8-point leads by Lower Merion in the first half. But boy, since halftime, it's been nip and tuck, and neither one's winning.
Lower Merion had the early lead in this game, 11-3. It was 14-6 one more time for that 8-point cushion. But Ridley was able to close it to a 6-point gap at the end of 1 quarter, a 2-point gap at the end of 2 quarters. We were tied after 3 quarters, and right now we're tied one more time for the 8th time. And another foul called against Lower Merion inside.
And it's going to be on Harley Williamson.
I told you it was a foul on Harley Williamson. I was just a little bit ahead of myself. That's his fourth.
It was a great job by Dan Robinson that time. He got in deep, but he kept his dribble, and that allowed him to put on an extra move, get better position.
Robinson back to the foul line. Second time he's been there in this evening's basketball game. He's now 2 for 3 and make it 3 for 4 to put Ridley back up on top, 50-48.
It's a nice job by Heinrichs giving Iggy a blow.
Sends McSorley back in there, or Trussati, excuse me, back in there for Ridley. They're going to dump it inside. Robbins with the great feed to Carl Johnson for 2. Tie it back up one more time at 50-50 as Robbins and Johnson connect for the pretty assisted bucket. Elbow the foul line jumper, that time for Robinson for 2 more.
He's going to make some college coach happy. He's a good player, and at 6'6", has some size.
Offensive foul going to be called on Johnson as Shamar Harris draws the charge, and that is number 3 on Carl Johnson.
Again, good call, a little bit of a late whistle. That's why you see a little bit of the indignation on the call.
Team fouls even at 5 apiece as Iggy comes back in. That's him with the basketball across half court. Kick out to Shamar Harris, to McSorley. Trussati has it left elbow. They look inside for Robinson. Robbins makes sure Robinson cannot connect. Iggy again just going to penetrate, drop, double team comes to him. Harris open for 3, good. 19 points for Shamar Harris and a quick timeout called by Ridley. 3:37 remaining. The Raiders with their biggest lead at 5. 55-50 is our score.
Speaking of making some college coach happy, Tremendous defense, not afraid to go inside. We'll see here the pass from Iggy. Nice high arcing shot. And of course, the shot that he hit at the end of the third quarter to tie things up was just pretty amazing in and of itself.
George Zurich keeping stats for us this afternoon here at Villanova University. Tells me that Shamar Harris now 7 for 10 from the field, including to get him 19 points and get Ridley on top now by 5 at 55-50. Again, the Raiders ranked number 5 in the Harrisburg Patriot News at the beginning of this week at the Quad A level. Lower Marion ranked number 7. We've talked about the fact that these teams are essentially in a 3-way tie with Conestoga. Conestoga is in between those two at rank number 6. So clearly the Central League has made its mark in the Quad A state rankings.
When you consider some of the players that we've already seen here, Tyreek Evans from American Christian, possibly the number 1 recruit in the country, certainly in the state. Elena Deladon from Ursuline Academy, who's already committed to UConn and is arguably the top girls player in the state. A lot of the games have been played above the rim. This one's been played in the waistbands because these two teams have been in each other's waistbands all night.
Robbins going to go back to the foul line as Ridley going to pick up its 6th team foul. Foul is on Farrell. That's just his first, so no troubles for Matt Farrell. A couple players in some foul difficulty, including Robinson and Iggy for Ridley with 3 apiece. Robbins back irons his first foul shot.
His ability to post up has been one of the keys to the Aces' success this evening.
Trasati back in for Ridley. Kevin Escott back in for Lower Marion. As Robbins goes 1 for 2 at the foul line. 19 points now for Greg Robbins. Cuts it to a 3-point difference in favor of the Raiders. Robinson back the other way in traffic as it's stripped by Robbins. Robbins looking around, trying to find somebody to come to his aid, and finally finds Steve Meehan.
Well, if Greg Downer's got another press in his bag, he may want to consider using that, because this 1-3-1 that he's been using, Ridley's just been going through it with ease.
55-51 is our score. Again, Robbins in the low post being guarded by Robinson. Great matchup down low. Robinson's got 3 fouls. He almost gets a steal. He does. Good anticipation by Dan Robinson to come up with another steal. That's 9 turnovers now for Lower Marion. And a big opportunity missed for the Aces, trailing by 4. Shamar Harris, who's had the hot hand today for Ridley, leads them in scoring with 19. And a timeout going to be called, I believe. No, a foul going to be called away from the basket. Foul's on Robbins. That'll be his second. It's number 6 on Lower Marion, so the Aces down to their last foul. Before we go into bonus time, Ridley also has committed 6 fouls.
Boy, the guard play for Ridley here in this second half, and especially here in this 4th quarter, has been key in them getting and then maintaining this lead.
Matt Farrell checks back in for Ridley, and the Raiders having some trouble getting it inbounds, and they're going to call a timeout. 30-second timeout called, I believe, for the Raiders with 2:28 now remaining in our basketball game. 55-51 is our score. Ridley on top. As Steve alluded to, first of 3 games today that will feature an awful lot of talent. And coming up next, perhaps the most anticipated game in this matchup, in this whole tournament today, and that is Chester against Roman Catholic, to be followed later on this evening by Newman Goretti against Gonzaga of Washington, D.C.
Running down what we've seen today, Neshaminy with no problem defeating Pennsbury. Then we saw, Pennsbury beating Neshaminy. I've been here for a while. Then it was Ursuline with Elena Deladon with over 30 points, handling Germantown Academy. And you talk about anticipated matchups. I know in this area, the 3rd game today, Academy New Church versus American Christian. New Church had a 7-point lead with 3 minutes to play and ended up losing the game. A 10-point lead with 3 minutes to play and ended up losing the game, thanks to some tremendous defense and shot making by American Christian.
Inbounds pass comes from McSorley to Robinson, goes up hard for 2 more.
We also saw the top-ranked high school team in the country, St. Anthony's, having no problems with Rancocas Valley in a matchup of teams from New Jersey.
Dan Robinson now with 22 points for the Raiders. Johnson works inside, kicks it outside. Escott off the glass, no good. Ball is tipped around and controlled by Shamar Harris. Big opportunity now for Ridley, sitting on a 6-point lead inside of 2 minutes remaining, and a whistle and a foul going to be called. Iggy hit the deck, and a foul going to be called against Lower Marion. And that's on Carl Johnson. That'll be his 4th. So Johnson with 4, Williamson with 4, Kevin Escott with 4 for Lower Marion. Bonus time now for Ridley as Steve Iggy will step to the foul line, shoot a 1-and-1.
Tough call against Johnson because once Shamar Harris brought the ball over half court, Lower Marion did a nice job on the trap.
Iggy comes up short on the shot. Now a foul going to be called on the rebound, and I think they're pointing at Dan Robinson, and that'll be his 4th. So now Carl Johnson for Lower Marion, one of their top players at 16 points per game, has 4 fouls. Dan Robinson at 22 points per game for Ridley has 4 fouls.
Great job by Robbins, sealing off on the inside, getting good rebounding position. In spite of Robinson's height advantage, could do little there.
And he steps to the line in a 1-on-1 opportunity. That's the 7th team foul against the Raiders. Robbins at the foul line makes the 1st, gets a 2nd, makes the 2nd as well. Makes it 57-53. Ridley on top. Lower Marion extending the defense now to full court. McSorley, who's handled the basketball very well today for Ridley, gets it across. Skip pass to Trissati.
Yeah, Ridley's not going to take a shot unless it's a layup, and if you break downer, you have to decide when you're going to foul.
And a foul was called right there as Johnson went for the reach in, and I believe that's Johnson. If so, that's his 5th.
Yep.
So Carl Johnson is finished for the afternoon with 5 personal fouls. He'll foul out with 13 points. And now Lower Marion's going to have to figure out a way to come back in this basketball game, trailing by 4 with their point guard out of the game with 5 personal fouls.
And the other thing I was going to say is not only do you have to decide when you're going to foul, you have to decide who you're going to foul and who's going to do the fouling. Probably not the best 2 choices on numbers 2 and 3 that time.
Dan Robinson will step to the foul line. He's 3 for 4 this afternoon for Ridley. Makes the 1st, and he'll get another.
He's a good player. He's nice to watch, good in the paint. As we've seen also, can step outside and hit the mid-range and even long jumper.
6'6" is Dan Robinson, a senior. All 6 players who have seen playing time today for Ridley are all seniors. 58-53 is our score. The Raiders on top. Robbins tries to draw the 3-point shot, and he does, and that's number 5 on Robinson. Not a foul Dan Robinson wanted to commit in a couple of different ways. He didn't want to foul Robbins from beyond the arc, and he didn't want to pick up his 5th foul.
Nice job. Nice job by the officials, again, working together. I think that's just the 4th on Robinson.
Apparently so. I stand corrected, and I think they're also going to say he was not beyond the arc. That's
right.
The scored on the face of Greg Downer right now.
Robbins used a pump fake. He steps back. Oh boy.
There's a reason he's arguing. He stepped back beyond the arc when the contact was hit. So Robbins will shoot 2 instead of 3, and he missed the 1st. And he missed the 2nd. But Lower Marion gets the basketball back. So it ends up in the hands of Ben Lucas, and now back into the hands of Robbins. Being guarded by Shamar Harris. It was just the 4th on Robinson. He's still out there. Staller looking to get by the defense. Nothing there. Finds Robbins instead, who will find the hole.
You know, you don't get that basket without the dribble penetration, but also without Robbins understanding his guy's in trouble. Cut to the hole, and it was an excellent pass by Staller.
Robbins with the another field goal to get Lower Marion back to within 3 at 58-55 with 1:09. Greg Robbins going over the 1,000-point mark in his career at Lower Marion earlier this week.
Has anybody else ever done that as a junior?
At Lower Marion?
Yeah.
A guy by the name of Brian, I think, did. He probably did it as a freshman, but
yeah.
But I jest. But
Yeah.
yes, he's the only. I think, if I'm not mistaken, he is the 8th player at Lower Merion High School to go over 1,000 points. The only one, besides Kobe Bryant, to do it in his junior year.
So now you've cut the lead to 3, and there's still a minute and 9 left. You can afford to try and be strong defensively. I mean, if you can get a stop, that's great. And I think, you know, you try hard for a long time to get that stop. It's not like if you don't, you know, if you don't get a steal on the inbound, you have to foul right away. You have plenty of time left, and each team only with 18 fouls.
A portion of this game is being brought to you by award-winning sports broadcasting camps. To learn more, the phone number 215-732-2044. Ridley will inbound the basketball. Lower Merion will stretch out the defense. McSorley gives it up to Shamar Harris in a 3-on-1. Robinson to the hole, has it blocked from behind by Williamson. Tipped out of bounds, last touch by Robbins. It'll stay Ridley basketball.
What a big play that time by Garrett Williamson, because Robinson did the smart thing with the lead. If you've got the open layup, and he did based on his move, take it. But boy, big play on blocking that by Williamson.
Robinson gets the inbounds feed, but can't finish inside. Tipped out of bounds again, last touch by Robbins. And it'll again stay Ridley basketball. Precious seconds ticking away for the Aces. Still a world of time, however, with 57.5 seconds remaining in the game. Shamar Harris been held in check somewhat here in this 4th quarter by the Lower Marion's defense. He had 16 at the end of 3. He's got 19 so far. And a foul going to be called this time on Staller, as Iggy will go to the foul line.
Nice job by the Raiders to recognize the situation, get the ball in the hands of either Shamar Harris or Steve Iggy. They're 2 best ball handlers, 2 seniors who have started for 3 years in a row, and also 2 pretty good free throw shooters.
And now Keith Heinrichs making a good move to get Dan Robinson out of there with those 4 personal fouls. Make sure he doesn't pick up a cheap one. As Iggy steps to the line, he'll shoot a 1-on-1 and makes the first. First trip to the foul line for Steve Iggy. Excuse me, second trip to the foul line for Steve Iggy. He's now 1 for 2. Make it 2 for 2. 15 points now for Iggy. The lead back to 5, 60-55. Ridley on top. Robbins going to go right down the middle, but misses inside. And a foul going to be called right away as Iggy came up with a rebound. And it's either on Williamson or Robbins on the reach-in.
Yeah, I was about to say, no surprise who got the rebound. Steve Iggy with a great job. When the shot went up, he was at about the free throw line, and he just kind of curled around his man. Got good inside position.
So it's foul on Robbins. That's his 3rd. And it will be Iggy back to the foul line to shoot 2 at the 10th team foul against Lower Merion. Iggy can't connect on the first one. 34.7 is what's officially left on the clock as Robinson will come back in now.
Wow.
One for 2 at the stripe for Steve Iggy. Makes it a 6-point game now at 61-55. Lower Merion has the 3-point shooters to connect, but Williamson will go inside for 2, and Lower Merion will call a quick timeout.
Now you're in the situation down 4. Go for the steal. If not, choose who you're going to foul. And while we're only doing this for entertainment purposes, I got a buck saying that either Iggy or Harris get the ball off the inbound pass.
Arlie Williamson with the 2 for Lower Merion. His first field goal of the basketball game. He averages 7 points per game.
Well, in Lower Merion lore, I would guess being Garrett Williamson's little brother would be kind of like being Kobe Bryant's little brother. But, certainly not trying to compare them in terms of skills, but Garrett Williamson really, in that 2006 championship run, absolutely positively, I think, took that whole township on his back and carried them through. He was as heroic. There was as heroic a performance in that championship game against Shenley as I think I've ever seen.
Again, Lower Merion kind of surprised people in 2005 when they got to the state championship. They went and worked their way through the western half of the bracket and met Chester. Chester came out on top in an incredible performance by the Clippers in that 2005 state championship, but it was a young Lower Marion team that learned a lot from its experience and came back in 2006, and they took on Shenley and beat Shenley, what was then a young Shenley team who came back the next year and beat Chester, and it was a young Chester team. And lo and behold, in our next game, we'll see a 21-1 Chester team getting ready to make a postseason run as well.
And you are in for an absolute treat in terms of guard play for these two teams. Number one for Chester is Karan Butler, who last night was as superb a performer in a big-time game as Chester beat Jeanette last night. 32 points, controlled the game in a way, I think, beyond what you've seen from a lot of good point guards. He just was in absolute control of the entire flow of that game. And by the way, Malik Waynes is not half bad either for Roman Catholic. That should be, again, there have been a lot of great matchups in this tournament and this weekend. I'm not sure there's a better one than we got coming up.
That will be our game next here on the Pennsylvania Cable Network. When this one is through, we've got 26 seconds remaining in the contest. Ridley with the basketball sitting on a 4-point lead. And trouble for the Raiders on the inbounds pass. They turn it over for just the third time today.
Give Stoller credit for that one. He slid through a screen, and it caused Iggy to have to come out a little further. The ball was out of his reach.
And so now Lower Marion, trailing by 4, gets an opportunity. Robbins, a long-range 3, short of the mark. Iggy skies for a rebound, and a foul going to be called. Iggy at 6'2", got up rim high to pull that one away. And he will go to the other end and shoot 2 more shots at the foul line.
When you need a big shot, most times you go to your star, and they worked it okay. It wasn't the best screen that Stoller's made all night. And there was some good pressure in Robbins' face.
Steve Iggy been hot and cold at the foul line today for Ridley. He makes that one. $18 points now for Steve Iggy, and the lead is back to 6 at 63-57. Lower Marion going to need a couple of threes. Williamson for one of them, but misses well short. And Ridley going to get the basketball back now with 8 seconds remaining.
Stranger things have happened, but not too much stranger.
Trissati will check back in for Matt Farrell as the Raiders are now 8 seconds away from getting a share of the Central League Championship here in 2008. Long pass comes to Robinson, and Robinson will step to the foul line as Meehan comes out to make the foul for Lower Marion.
Real nice job on that baseball pass play. You need a strong down screen to get the player open, and they had just that.
So Robinson back to the foul line to shoot 2 for Ridley, and he makes the first. They are 8 for 12 now here in this fourth quarter at the foul line. That's how you win basketball games. And now you protect the lead as well, and that's exactly what Ridley has done so far. They have not converted a field goal in the last 2 minutes, but they've done it at the foul line. They go 1 for 2 that trip. And a long-range 3 that time by Lubas at the buzzer. It'll all be window dressing as the Ridley Raiders come from behind in this afternoon's contest, but they win the basketball game down the stretch in the fourth quarter. They took their first lead of the basketball game in the fourth quarter, but they come away with a victory this afternoon, 65-60.
They give a most valuable player in this tournament from each team, and I think you're going to find Robinson with the most points, but boy, I'd be hard-pressed to give it to anyone besides Shamar Harris, because he was the difference maker when they were down. He's the guy who brought them back, made the big shots, made the big steals, made free throws, and carried his team to what has turned into a Central League championship. You know, there are wins and then there are wins, and this one's pretty big, and you can see it on the faces of the Ridley kids.
The Raiders lost a game earlier this week to Haverford, the second time they lost to Haverford this season, which will certainly knock them down a little bit in the rankings, but this one will certainly help bring them back Dan Robinson with 26, Jamar Harris with 19, Steve Iggy with 18. For Lower Marion, Greg Robbins leads the way with 23. Carl Johnson finished with 13. And that will be the wrap-up of our first game this afternoon. Don't go away. We still got 2 more to come your way here on the Pennsylvania Cable Network. Game 1 is in the books. The Ridley Raiders now 19-4, defeat Lower Marion to drop them to 18-6 on the season. The final score, Ridley 65, Lower Marion 60. From my partner, Steve Bowen, my name is Bob McCool. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. We'll talk to you coming up very shortly here on the Pennsylvania Cable Network.
America's manufacturing